Today, we celebrate something truly special, our 100th networking event. And beyond just a number, this represents years of connection, growth, and community. Since 2020, month after month without stopping, we have created spaces to learn together, share experiences, and elevate professionals in health, wellness, and aesthetics around the world. It has been more than 100 educational topics, 302 international speakers, and thousands of connections that have transformed professional lives, opened doors, and created real opportunities. But the most valuable part has been seeing this community grow with purpose, supporting one another, collaborating, and proving that together we can go further. Thank you to every speaker, moderator, leader, attendee, and Global Integral Beauty member who has been a part of this journey. Thank you for believing in this vision and for helping us build a global community based on education, networking, and integral growth. And this is only the beginning. Here's to more connection, more learning, and more global impact together. Welcome to Global Integral Beauty Networking, an international community created to connect, position, and elevate professionals in the health, wellness, and aesthetics industries on a global scale. This platform has been designed to bring together top professionals, experts, and entrepreneurs, forming an interdisciplinary network focused on growth, collaboration, and the global impact of integral beauty. Global Integral Beauty is presented by Dallas Bailey, a registered nurse with an MBA in marketing, a New York State certified medical esthetician, a specialist in laser skin irradiation treatments with over 20 years of experience, creator of effective systems to attract and retain clients, an international speaker in marketing and personal brand positioning, host of Hashtag with Dallas, where she has interviewed leading professionals in the industry, best-selling author of Global Experts in Integral Beauty with 4 published editions, creator of the Global Integral Beauty Positioning Method, and founder and CEO of Renew Aesthetics Medical Spa, Dallas Beauty Savvy, Global Integral Beauty, and Miss Global Integral Beauty. Through Global Integral Beauty, we offer exclusive memberships to elevate your personal brand, strategic networking events, participation in our annual international conference, nominations for the Global Integral Beauty Awards, feature opportunities in Global Integral Beauty magazine, and access to a global network of leaders and experts. Welcome to Global Integral Beauty Networking, an exclusive opportunity to position yourself, expand your influence, and become a global leader in the integral beauty industry as part of a movement that is transforming the industry worldwide.
Global Integral Beauty Networking are positioning you and everyone as the top of this industry, connecting with professionals from around the world, access to international speakers, get the high-level conversation, create real business opportunity with vision and strategy.
My name is Carolina. I'm 38 years old, and I have always maintained a healthy and active lifestyle. However, over the past year, I began experiencing unexpected changes in my body. I gained weight rapidly, especially around my abdomen and back, and I started suffering from inflammatory acne, dark spots, skin sensitivity, and loss of firmness. The aesthetic treatments that once worked perfectly for me stopped delivering results and even caused more inflammation. In addition, I began experiencing constant fatigue, sugar cravings, fluid retention, insomnia, and changes in my menstrual cycle. Although I consulted several specialists, the answers were superficial, and I feel that the issue goes far beyond age or stress, as if my entire body had changed all at once.
Carolina's case is very common for all the women, so I would love to hear your experience today. Well, let's go to start with Dr. Anu. How do insulin-resistant cortisol and gut inflammation affect the skin aging, inflammatory, aesthetic treatment result in women before the menopause?
So Carolina's case is just very, very common. We see it all the time in clinical practice, I'm sure in the aesthetic practices, and oftentimes women just don't get answers. So they go to the doctor and they're told to just eat less or move more, but that doesn't help them understand what's going on in their body and what to eat and how to move. And so it's a very, very common problem, and they just will pour more money into the aesthetics or take supplements without getting to the root cause. So it's important to identify that when I hear a case like this, it's very clear to me that there likely is underlying insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the driver of so much chronic disease. It's the driver often of PCOS, heart disease, diabetes, all kinds of things. Unfortunately, insulin resistance also causes the ovaries to overproduce the male hormone, testosterone, and that can lead to acne and the skin changes that Carolina is experiencing. Insulin is also a fat storage hormone, which means that if we have more insulin, we're going to store more fat. So we can be eating the same amount of calories, but actually storing fat. It also changes our menstrual cycle. So now our cycles are irregular. So all in all, it just makes us feel really, really terrible. It impacts the collagen in our skin. It impacts inflammation. And if we have good gut health, we don't really have insulin resistance. So we also need to look underlying and see what's going on in the gut underneath. What started this? Was there underlying PCOS and now it's just becoming more apparent because they're approaching perimenopause? Did something change in their life where they started eating different, sleeping different, extra stress? And so getting to the root cause of when this all changed is super important as well. But identifying insulin resistance as the root cause, treating the insulin resistance will make the skin better, it will make the periods better, and it will make the weight gain feel less sort of come on without control.
Thank you, doctor. I agree with you, definitely. I'm in the menopause recently, so I just definitely feel all those symptoms, but thank God so far so good, because working in science also helped me a lot, because I can just understand better. But people who are not in science, it's not easy to understand, to accept all this process and also just follow the medical hand direction. They only hear, the comment from all the friends around their cell, and they want to repeat everything. So thank God that we have this opportunity to share with all the professionals to continue working together and educate the community. How can gut issues like inflammation, SIBO or IBS, or microbiome imbalance affect hormones, skin health, and explaining weight gain in women?
Yeah, so there's a lot here, as we have already talked about. I would say the gut microbiome, especially as we approach perimenopause, is a very big part of hormonal regulation. There are 7 strains of probiotic bacteria that are called the estrobolome, and that actually regulates estrogen metabolism. Those create an enzyme called beta-glucuronidase, okay? So as estrogen starts to decline, so did the population of those 7 gut bacteria. And without enough estrogen, we don't have enough of those bacterial strains. So it's kind of like a two-way street. A reduction also in gut bacteria from SIBO, dysbiosis, inflammation can also reduce activity of that enzyme. And if we have too much of the enzyme, then we are having an issue with circulating estrogen and maybe causing estrogen dominance, PCOS, that kind of thing. So estrogen is shaping the bacteria, and then the bacteria are shaping how much estrogen we hold on to. Inflammation is more related to leaky gut or increased intestinal permeability. So our intestinal lining is held together by cells in tight junctions, and nutrients are supposed to pass through. But over time, with stressors and age, and there's all kinds of things, the channels get bigger and larger pieces can pass through. And some of those are called lipopolysaccharides, or LPS. And they kind of plant a flag in the rest of the body that says, we have bacteria somewhere they're not supposed to be. Think about a splinter. So when you get a splinter, you're all red and irritated. When we have increased intestinal permeability, it's like splinters all over the gut. So it's not like a huge inflammatory response, but like a low level of inflammation that never really goes away. And so that's one of the major things that drives inflammation in this patient. And then when we look at inflammatory skin disorders, including acne, we look at, again, certain kinds of gut bacteria. And I would say again, it's really going back to the microbiome. Perimenopause, increased intestinal permeability, and the imbalance. So SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, is one way that the microbiome is imbalanced, but there are so many different ways, and more than we have time for. So with weight gain, we're looking at bile flow. We're looking at nutrient deficiencies and malabsorption of carbohydrates. And with that, also, then we look at insulin resistance, which is exactly what I was going to say. Production of cortisol can be modulated by the gut microbes, and the gut-brain axis can also affect sleep. Poor sleep, weight gain, right? Fatigue, more inflammation, because there's less time if we're not sleeping for our body to repair it. Pre-diabetes or diabetes or anything like that. Then we are going to have more storage of fat. And the diet and the stress, those things can drive gut bacterial composition as well. So it's like chicken or the egg and we're studying the bacteria in people with Alzheimer's and people with diabetes and people with obesity or, overweight tendencies to see what microbes are together in each of those populations, basically. So we have an environment that's pro-inflammatory, leaky gut, dysbiosis, perimenopause itself is considered pro-inflammatory. Then we add poor carbohydrate digestion and absorption and nutrient deficiencies and impaired phase 2 detoxification. And that is really going to kind of come together to make this picture for so many women.
Thank you, Molly. Definitely with your experience. Yeah, I remember yesterday our conversation with your experience is amazing too. I think that is important always, especially this kind of symptom or state of the life in pre or menopause always has to be in professional hands, always, because it's the time that we are always confused, emotional, psychology, mental. So the best way, we have to go directly to professional like you, specialized with you when you have all the experience. So the question that I have now is, how can stress, emotional overlap, and hormonal change affect the sleep image and inflammation in women?
Okay, so I prepared some answers for these questions here. So from a mental health perspective, chronic stress and hormonal fluctuations have a profound impact on the entire body, not just emotionally, but physiologically. When women experience prolonged emotional overload, the body can remain in a chronic state of nervous system activation. Body can remain in chronic state of nervous system activation. When women experience prolonged emotional overload, the body can remain in a chronic state of nervous system activation, which elevates cortisol levels over time. So elevated cortisol is associated with increased abdominal fat storage, which I believe Molly just talked about, sugar cravings, sleep disruption, inflammation, and worsening insulin resistance. So at the same time, fluctuations in estrogen. So I want to talk a little bit more about estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. With estrogen and progesterone, I'm not sure if y'all touched on this already, but with perimenopause, there is a decline in that. So it actually declines dramatically. Testosterone declines after about 20, after your age of 20 years old in a woman, and then 1% to 2% after that. So when we look at a perimenopausal woman, we are looking at all of those declines in those hormones, and which will cause you to have the increase in inflammation, increase in acne. And I believe Carolina had acne along her jawline and laxity of skin, which we know estrogen is linked to the skin and collagen. So decrease of estrogen decreases your collagen and your thinning of the skin. Decrease in testosterone decreases your mood as well as your muscle and sleep, as well as progesterone. So her having a lot of those potential perimenopause, we are looking at that to affect her mood regulation, emotional resilience, appetite, and skin health. So what else did I have for y'all? Okay. The physical changes can also deeply affect body image and self-esteem. Many women feel disconnected from their bodies because the strategies that previously worked for them, exercise, skincare, or aesthetic treatments, suddenly become less effective. This can create emotional distress, frustration, and even shame, especially when women feel they are doing everything right, but their bodies are responding differently. Lastly is that chronic stress itself can impair the body's healing response and increase systemic inflammation, which may explain why some aesthetics procedures lead to prolonged irritation or reduced results during periods of hormonal imbalance. This is why hormonal health, mental wellness, sleep quality, and stress regulation and aesthetics outcomes should never be viewed separately. Instead, it should be interconnected through a neuroendocrine system.
What hormonal and metabolic imbalance should be checked for the first in the woman with acne, fatigue, irregular cycles, and poor treatment results?
So it's really interesting to me how all three of us, Perry, Molly, and I, all identified insulin resistance. And for us, it's clear as day, right? We see this case and we're like, okay, insulin resistance. Unfortunately, when women are going to the doctors or their providers in the real world, insulin resistance often gets missed. And as clear as day it is to all of us on this panel, it gets missed by many, many clinicians. For instance, PCOS is 13 to 16% of women, and it's undiagnosed in 70% of those women. So we're missing this all the time. And it's super important that people who are listening in understand what the checklist is that we're looking for. Fortunately, PCOS got a name change, polymetabolic ovarian syndrome, polyendocrine metabolic syndrome. It's a complicated name, but it is much more representative of what's really going on underneath in these hormonal changes. So in a woman of this age, like Carolina, I'm looking at, is this worsening PMOS, or is this the onset of perimenopause, or a combination of both? So we need to look at the hormonal panel, blood work, but also I'm looking at the thyroid. Is the thyroid functioning properly? That changes at around this age, especially sometimes it's been missed for a while and perimenopause actually exacerbates it. Do we have the onset of prediabetes? And it goes back to the root cause if there might have been underlying insulin resistance. Has the lifestyle changed? You know, this is approaching the 40s. It's a very, very stressful time for women, career-wise, children-wise, all the things. Many of us are raising teens while we're starting perimenopause, and that's a very stressful time in our life. So we're looking mostly at hormones. Entering perimenopause, we're looking at the thyroid, we're looking at glucose metabolism, and we're looking at chronic stressors. I say it over and over again, but sleep equals efficacy. So if the patient is not sleeping, nothing is going to get better. So I like to ask patients, when was the last time you felt well? And what were you doing then? And then what changed the next day? And that's kind of how I like to approach it. So if a woman says, you know, all this Carolina symptoms say they all started after she started a new job. Well, great. Now I have an identifier as stress. But if she tells me, I don't know, it kind of crept in and I don't know when it started, then I'm looking more at the underlying metabolic dysfunction, hormonal dysfunction, or the onset of perimenopause. So taking a good history, doing the right labs, and really sitting down and talking to the patient is so, so important.
I definitely, it's the complement of the Molly conversation and also Perry too, and now it's a combination. That's why today I'm so excited, because all of you have a really good experience and you are connecting for the real result for Carolina and all the women who have the problem today. Molly, how does digestive health and nutrients absorption affect collagen, skin retention, and aesthetic treatment results?
Great question. So yes, I think collagen synthesis, you know, we need amino acid supply, we need micronutrients, and when we think about it like that, then the digestion and absorption of those micronutrients are going to play a big role. Skin contains vitamin C, which stimulates collagen and, gives it antioxidant protection and everything. So when we have the gut barrier dysfunction impairing protein or micronutrient absorption in your gut, then those raw materials for collagen are not there, even if you think that you're eating enough protein or micronutrients. And that's why it's important, as much as I've talked about the microbiome, to not just say, let's throw a probiotic at this problem, because it's really more about optimizing digestion and absorption. And that is a bigger picture than just take a probiotic to increase the strains of the estrobolome. But that is kind of in terms of collagen. With skin sensitivity, if we have that sensitivity, it's related to the systemic inflammatory and oxidative situations, oxidative stress, that kind of thing. So there's a communication between the gut and the skin, and it's driven by the immune system and inflammation. And what regulates those two things? It's the richness and diversity of the gut microbiome. So a circulating pro-inflammatory load can lower the threshold at which the skin reacts and prolong this phase after any trauma, like the healing phase after any trauma. So we're going to have increased sensitivity of the skin maybe, or post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation like those red spots from acne, or longer healing time from laser procedures, all because of that kind of low-level inflammation that may be caused from various things that are going on in the gut. Fluid retention. Your blood needs enough protein to hold water inside your vessels. And if your gut bacteria and your blood vessels are competing for the protein that you eat and you're not absorbing enough of it, then that gut lining can kind of, again, leak some protein, and water can seep out of those vessels and show up as puffiness or swelling of the face or extremities, which is weird because you wouldn't think it's coming from the gut. And, obviously we want to make sure that in a 38-year-old woman with an increasing waist-hip ratio and cortisol, thyroid problems, there are other things that can cause fluid shifts. So we want to rule those out via referral in terms of my scope of practice. But aesthetic procedures, lasers, peels, other protocols, they all rely on controlled wound healing and collagen remodeling response, which is why I love them so much. And that response requires the same absorbed stuff as collagen synthesis, like vitamin C and amino acids. So when we've got inflammation, we've got dysbiosis, we have maybe some increased intestinal permeability, or a worsening diet, or a diet that isn't great because of the stress that she's under, then the inflammatory trigger of like a laser is more likely to produce exaggerated inflammation. And this is more of a working hypothesis based on a review article. I can drop that article in the chat if anybody's interested. But overall, some of the microbiome connections are still speculation because there is so much research to be done. But that's what I got.
Perry, the question for you is going to be, how can emotional support and validation help women manage stress, hormones, and improve their overall healthy result?
All right, so what I love about this talk right now is that I hear a lot of holistic. We look at the person, mind, body, and spirit. A lot of my practice, a lot of what I do, I think Dr. Ager, functional medicine, is that correct? Is that what I heard? Well, I love functional medicine. That's something that I've learned to do in mental health, where we look at the person, the whole body experience before we even treat or give a diagnosis. So when a client comes to myself and say that, I feel off, my mood is off, the doctor is giving me a prescription for Seroquel, versus finding out the in-depth of what my biopsychosocial, looking at my environment, looking at my my genetics, all of those things matter. So it's very important when we have a client that comes in with the with what they feel as being emotionally neglect, right, from their provider. It's important that we ask them, like, where are you right now in your health? What have you experienced? What is your background? What do you know? For Carolina, it looks like one of the things she said was, I have a fairly good nutrition I would actually ask, what does that look like? What does fairly good nutrition actually look like? She said that she exercises sometimes. Well, if we do, when we exercise, we increase insulin. When we exercise, we increase testosterone. When we exercise, those things increase. So I want to know, what kind of exercise are you doing? And that way I could better support. That way I can better be able to tell you how to do these things to help you improve in these areas, versus me saying, do them, or just listening and saying, and this, going from what you say. I want to do a full evaluation, a full assessment of what you're already doing, and therefore I can identify the gaps and how we can treat you better. What I've noticed is that not a lot of providers are into functional medicine. Not a lot of providers are into hormones. So when you do have a perimenopausal woman coming in, like, again, they're feeling, maybe mood disruption, they're easily diagnosed with, mood instability, versus finding out, again, what is exactly causing the root, like what's the root cause. So I love what Dr. A said. I love what Molly is saying about just, finding the gut, and the gut, well, I would say the gut-brain connection, the whatever we eat goes right, it's the neurotransmitters goes to your brain, the neurotransmitters into your gut that leads up to your brain to help you with feeling better, feeling more, having more energy and things of that sort. So I definitely would say to anyone that's feeling like they're not being heard from their provider, to find a provider that, when I actually say that you need to have a provider that has a good personal, that's personable, that has a good relationship with, because you want to be open, you want to be able to talk with them, you want to be able to say, hey, I do not feel well, and you don't want to feel judged. A lot of times, a lot of women feel judged for saying how they feel or feeling dismissed. And I also want to even put the importance of doing your own research, and not just Dr. Google, but really finding out and learning about what are your diagnoses, and finding out what are the best treatment methods, what is evidence-based needs, why is your doctor giving you these prescriptions, and not just following along because they said so, or your provider said so. And that will help you tremendously, because not only are you become the champion of your own health, you also are able to advocate for yourself, in that you are able to tell your doctor how you feel, what you don't like in your treatment plan. And that will also give you that feeling of, just basically understanding what's going on in your treatment.
All of each, because as I told you before, it's a perfect combination for this meeting, for this panel. Usually, Carolina, symptoms definitely is very often, and is more often now than before. In the early time, the premenopause, and it started so early today, and that's why we try to stimulate community during the social media, during this kind of beautiful, amazing community in health, wellness, and aesthetic, to be focused in education, prevention. That is a priority today. Today's conversation shows how hormonal stress and gut health and nutrition can affect the skin, the weight, and the overall wellness together. Women need to feel heard, supported, and treated from the root cause, not only for the symptoms. So I want to congratulate everyone today for your amazing professional on this panel. I learned so much from each one, and I really learned from each one too. And your knowledge and dedication is truly inspired me today. I learn every single month from each professional, and I'm very happy and get commitment to continue doing with you. Thank you for your time, and continue be part of this amazing community, because believe me, you are the best, but also we need to be connecting, because if you are the best but nobody knows you, how are we going to refer you? How people is going to find you? So that's the best opportunity to do it all together. And that's why Global Integral Beauty is doing this special work, just to be connecting with all the community worldwide. congratulate Dr. Anishudu for this amazing time. How was your experience today? How do you feel today? How was the expectation when we invited you to be part of this panel?
When you invited me, I really didn't know anything about this company. I kind of looked at it, and I can always talk about hormones and nutrition. It's my jam. I'm happy to do it. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I started looking into the company, and when I was employed, I really just sort of thought of networking almost as a bad, cringe word. And what I've realized is that networking is more about connecting. If you replace the word networking with connecting and making connections not based on what you can exchange for each other, but learning about each other and learning what the other person has to offer is a really amazing way to grow, not just your business, but as a human. And when you do referrals in the future, you're not going to refer to someone you don't like, right? And so in the future, when you have a patient who has a problem, you're going to refer them to someone who you trust, who you like, you would refer your own friends and family to. So I think it's so important to make connections in, like you said, in the medicine world, because in the health and wellness world, of people you trust. There's a zillion people out there who will take your patient's money and maybe not help them, right? So finding people who can actually help. I also think you just did an amazing job of putting me, Molly, and Perry together, because I think we're on the same wavelength and we're all doing different things, but we're saying the same thing. And to us, it's so clear as day. Unfortunately, women are not experiencing that in the real world. So I don't know how you put us together, but I think it was a great team because we're just all on the same wavelength and saying the same thing. And I think it's a great opportunity for women to learn that there are options out there. Every physician may not listen to you. They may not have the time. They may not have the expertise. It's always okay to get a second opinion. A second opinion is not offensive. You are the CEO of your health. Go get those second opinions and strive to feel better.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for inviting me. I am always excited when I get invited to things like this because it always turns out to be such an interesting conversation. And I think just like Dr. Anu was saying, we are all complementing each other in different areas of health, serving the same population and really giving them women in this demographic, certainly the attention and the care and the detail that they have been probably missing. And so to be able to spread that message to other people, but as a collaborative team, showing how there are different aspects of this, of the body and different people that work on each aspect is just, I think, empowering and also something that I hope brings a lot of peace. And women come to me and they're at the end of their rope and they're desperate, and I see it every day. And so to be able to be yelling it from the rooftops that you aren't alone and there is some kind of solution and there are many people out there doing it many different ways is incredible. So thank you for inviting me.
Very grateful and honored to be on this panel, and I think what you're doing is amazing. As we know, beauty does come from inside. So it doesn't matter how much we do to make ourselves look pretty, the makeup, the aesthetic, just to make us feel better, our hair, all the things that we can do. It will not matter if the inside does not feel well. It does not matter. So I love the fact that you are collaborating and connecting with women, like-minded, and also in different career fields to give us one response, interconnectedness. And I feel like that's amazing. And I've never been in this capacity before where I'm talking about skin and aesthetics when it comes to hormones. So being able to do some more research about that, being able to really connect those two fields, in my opinion, is something that I've never seen done. So I want to say that that's your own lane. So congratulations on that. I think that this was beautiful where I can take this along too and be able to say, hey, I know these women in these different career fields and they know a lot more than I do in this area, and I think that they're great to connect with you and to be able to give you the best treatment plan. What's really important to me is a whole body experience, being able to look at my client, look at my patient in a whole body, a holistic way. So I love that. I love what you're doing. And at first I was a little bit, I didn't know what global integral beauty was. And I was like, I don't know what they want with psychiatric mental health, but I guess I can say a few things. So I do appreciate being here, and I love the work you're doing. So thank you.